Now joining me in the studio to talk cricket is the Manchester Evening News assistant sports editor Chris Ostick, who found my mistake very interesting indeed. Yes. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, yeah.
Good. Can we talk England first?
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got the fifth one-day, of course, on Friday.
Yep.
2-1 up in the series. It's not going too bad.
Yeah, probably better than they expected, really, because going to South Africa is probably the toughest tour, along with Australia. And to be fair, they've not had a great record in one-day cricket over the past few years, so anyone who would have backed on England to win that series will be cashing in on Friday if England do the business.
Yeah, and it was James Anderson who caught the headlines in the last game, a 5-wicket haul, his first in one-day cricket, obviously a Lancashire lad, and very proud of him, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. He's come on leaps and bounds in the past 12 to 18 months, Jimmy. He came on the scene as a raw youngster and hit the headline straight away, but then suffered a little bit, and his action was changed a little bit, and it didn't suit him, and then he suffered a bit of a stress fracture to his back, which put him back for a while. But a good year in county cricket, he found his form again, and now he's England's leading pace bowler, and now that Flintoff's gone and Harmison's out of the picture, he's the one who will lead England through for the next few years. Yeah,
he's had a few knee problems though as well, but he said he's going to be OK to carry on playing for the moment.
Yeah, he said he's OK, but that's always a bit of a concern with a fast bowler, as Flintoff does with his ankle, you know. And a knee is something that you put an awful lot of strain and pressure on as a fast bowler, so just hope that is just a niggle and nothing too serious. But there is talk of him missing the Bangladesh tour in February. Sounds like quite a few players are actually just going to rest for that tour, and they'll send out a bit of a weakened side. But he needs it. He's been playing non-stop cricket, really, for 18 months.
Yeah, you say the weakened side. That could open the door, of course, for Sajid Mahmood, who joined up with England for this South Africa tour, but perhaps not taking his chance, really.
No, it's been disappointing for Saj, because he's had a solid year with Lancashire, and he's been knocking on the door all year with the Lions, and he gets his chance to get back in the one-day series, and then suffers some punishment in the 2020s. Well,
it was a disastrous game for everyone, really, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, you're not hiding to nothing as a bowler in 2020, because it's a batsman's game, so you're going to go for runs, and with Sajid's pace, if you just stray a little bit like he has a tendency to do, then he's going to get punished, and the pace on the ball helps the batsman score runs, so he'll be disappointed, Saj, but he's got another crack, because he's going to stay with the development squad in South Africa after this one-day series. And if there's a couple of injuries in the Test side, he's there on the doorstep.
And there's another Lancs player already in that development squad, isn't there? Doing OK?
Yeah, the new guy, Stephen Moore.
Yeah.
We've not seen him, obviously, at Old Trafford yet. He signed for Worcestershire just at the end of the season, and he scored a half-century yesterday, so things are looking good, and it'd be good to see him at the top of order for Lancashire next year.
Well, that's it, and potentially he could be a right little winner for him. Obviously, just signed, but doing well. Half-century is no mean feat, of course.
The danger will be, of course, if he gets called up for England, and then they'll be without him next year.
That would be ironic, wouldn't it? Yeah, of course. Well, moving on to Lancashire, there was an article in yesterday's Evening News. I'll just hold that up to the camera so they can see. It's about the redevelopment, of course, of Old Trafford. You can see that picture in the middle. And, well, it looks fantastic. Yeah. But it doesn't come without its pitfalls and so on, I suppose.
No, absolutely. It's kind of crunch time for Lancs now as far as this is concerned. By February, they've just put in planning permission for this new stadium, but it's a joint planning permission with Tesco, and that's always gets on people's backs a little bit, the fact that Tesco store's involved. But Tesco are going to cross-subsidise it. They're going to put 21 million towards it, which Lancashire couldn't afford without them.
Of course,
and if it all comes to fruition, Lancashire promising they're one of the best stadiums in the world, which will be great. But without it, then it's the end of international cricket at Old Trafford, so it really is now crunch time for them.
Well, that's what you say as well, and obviously they missed out on the Ashes last summer. There was the sort of... Well, it was so dodgy over all the 2020s and, you know, the wet weather and so on. But a ground like Old Trafford, surely that has to host future England matches. Exactly. Not least because we've got a cracking record at Old Trafford as well.
Exactly. I mean, that's all in their favour. And the other thing is, if they don't get international cricket back at Old Trafford, then there's going to be a huge gap from Birmingham up to maybe the Riverside, where there's going to be no international cricket. That starves the fans in the area. I mean, the North West is a hotbed of cricket.
Exactly, yeah.
And it needs a ground like that. And what Lancashire are saying here, if you want Test cricket and international cricket, you need to get behind Lancashire now. And they've got a website set up so that you can pledge your support and write to your MP to make sure that this planning permission gets accepted.
I mean, if it doesn't happen, how can that affect Lancashire just in terms of their county cricket and you know, the funds they'll have and that sort of thing?
Well, exactly. It will affect their funding. And what they've said is, if they don't get it and it all falls through, then they just revert back to being a county club. I mean, the business is quite strong. The stadium, they just can't afford to replace it or rebuild it without this cross-subsidy. So they would just become a successful, business-wise successful county cricket club, but without the extra revenue that brings players like Stephen Moore to Lancashire.
Of course, yeah.
You know, that pays Andrew Flintoff's wages. So they will suffer a little bit, but it's crucial for the area. I mean, it brings in so many members of public into the area, and also it's a worldwide known ground. I mean, Old Trafford. Jim Coombs said to me the other day that people know Old Trafford, 3/4 of the people around the world know it because of United, and the other quarter know because of cricket. And Old Trafford's such a huge brand worldwide, and it needs to be maintained on the cricket side of things.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for coming in today, Chris. Fingers
No
crossed,
problem.
of course, for Lancashire's future, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again as the build-up to the new season next year starts.
Look forward to it.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris.